Ever wonder what really goes on inside a city council meeting? Well, in the next few minutes, we're going to cut right through the formalities and show you the key moments from the latest Village of the Hills Council meeting that are shaping our community right now. And just a quick shout out, this explainer is made possible by The Hills Observer. It's a fantastic resident-run initiative that's all about connecting you and me with our local government and making things a whole lot more transparent. All right, let's dive right in. A council meeting isn't just a list of agenda items. It's really the story of a community in motion. And this month's meeting was all about digging into the nitty-gritty to manage today while keeping a sharp eye on tomorrow. So instead of just walking you through it minute by minute, we've organized this around the big themes. We're going to kick things off with a deep dive into public safety. Then we'll unpack a totally new way the village is looking at its money. After that, we'll get into some exciting projects on the horizon, and we'll wrap it all up with some quick community updates. Okay, first up, law enforcement and public safety. The council got its monthly report, but the real story here wasn't just the numbers themselves, it was the conversation that they sparked. So, the top-line number for January was 143 total incidents. This gives us a basic idea of the activity level, a baseline. But the interesting stuff is buried in the details. Of those 143 incidents, officers made 35 traffic stops. And that's a pretty important number because it helps us understand how proactive the policing is on our village roads. And those 35 stops, they resulted in 39 violations. Now, at first you might think, wait, how does that math work? Well, that's exactly what the council asked, and the officer explained that a single stop can lead to multiple tickets. Like, say you run a stop sign and you don't have insurance. That's 2 violations right there. And this is really where the discussion took a turn for the better. The council wasn't just happy with a monthly snapshot. No, they wanted to know more. They wanted to understand the trends, the context, the real story behind all this data. What we saw was this major push for deeper insights. One council member is already crunching over a year's worth of data to spot patterns. The goal is to get away from these one-off monthly reports and start making real historical comparisons. They talked about crucial differences, like how daytime violations are often contractors, while evening ones tend to be residents. They even got into specific recurring problems, like how a single faulty house alarm can waste a ton of an officer's time. This is a big deal. It shows the council is serious about making decisions based on solid data, not just gut feelings. And that focus on digging into the data carried right over to our next big topic, the village finances, where the treasurer rolled out a whole new way of looking at the budget. So this new report format spit out a number that made everyone in the room sit up a little straighter. Negative $442,000. I mean, that looks pretty scary at first glance, right? But it's actually part of a fascinating and much clearer financial story. Turns out, this is all about what's called a timing issue. See, the village gets most of its property tax money in the first couple of months of the year, but the bills, the expenses, they get paid out steadily all year long. So that big negative number isn't a debt, it's actually a projection of spending for the rest of the year, based on the cash they have on hand. And why does this matter? Because it gives a way more honest look at cash flow, which helps the council plan better and avoid any nasty surprises later on. The treasurer himself actually called it an epiphany. This new report makes it totally clear that even when the bank account looks full early in the year, there are a whole lot of expenses still to come. It's just a much more realistic, down-to-earth view of the village's financial health month to month. So, with this much clearer picture of the village's finances, let's take a look at how the council is planning to put that money to work for the future. First up, the big one, Google Fiber. It looks like this project is moving along really nicely. The initial site walk is already done, and they've decided on micro-trenching, which is basically a very thin, narrow cut in the asphalt, as the best way to do the installation with the least disruption. The next steps are for Google to come up with a street-by-street plan and for the village to review the franchise agreement to make sure our roads are protected for the long haul. Next, there was talk about putting a new flagpole in the park. But what's really important here is the council's smart, fiscally responsible approach. I mean, they got a quote for the pole itself negotiated way down to under $3,400, which is great. But they didn't just jump on it. Instead, they asked for a complete, comprehensive plan. They want to see the total cost, the whole shebang, including installation, lighting, electrical work, before they give it the green light. It shows they're thinking about the full cost of a project, not just the sticker price. All right, let's wrap things up with a quick lightning round of updates from the different committees that really are the heartbeat of the village, all powered by resident volunteers. So here are the quick hits. The Property Owners Association, the POA, has new board members, and hey, listen up, they're looking for volunteers for a committee on the Lomans Crossing intersection. The Parks and Rec team is planning a movie night for March 7th. They're going to be showing The Sandlot, which is awesome. The Welcome Committee is busy reaching out to all our new neighbors, helping them get the lay of the land with the village, the mud, and the POA. And finally, the city's annual audit is almost done and will be presented at the March meeting. So, there you have it. From demanding better data to getting a clearer view of the finances and carefully planning for the future, this meeting really showed a council that's focused on the details. And that leaves us with one final thought. With all this going on, how are you going to get involved and make your voice heard? Thanks for watching.